Hey y'all, welcome back to another video. So today I'm going to talk to you about, I got something called a DEXA body scan, which is, it's like a low level x-ray that's over your whole body. And it tells you like your body composition and stuff, as well as I think it's called Fit 3D scan, which is, you like hold on to some handles and it does like a 3D body scan of you. And it tells you like stuff about your posture and how you stand, and it's really interesting. And like your measurements from like a, camera in that way instead of just with like tape or whatever, which is interesting. But yeah, I want to tell you about kind of my experience with those things, and we'll see how that goes. So originally I decided to get a DEXA body scan because I was Googling around like, hey, what are ways that I can measure my health that are not BMI? Because it's really, BMI is like really simple, just like ratio of like height and weight. And while that can be useful in some circumstances, it's not super useful in like where I'm at right now, where I'm not trying to lose weight anymore for health specifically. Like I still want to lose a little bit of weight for maybe for health, but mostly for like aesthetics. But specifically, I'm like, BMI doesn't factor in your muscle, doesn't factor in your bones, your water weight, none of those things. It's just like, here's a weight number and here's what we think you should be for health. It's also like not the most like studied thing in the world. It was like, as far as I understand, made up by Nazis. So like, it's not the best scale, and it's not what I want to measure myself on anymore. Unfortunately, I had to do a BMI thing for the surgery. They wanted me to be a specific BMI, and I understand that as far as like to get surgery if you're in this category because of like they don't know what your height is and everything, like to be a healthier weight, to be safe for surgery or whatever, they want to use BMI, and that's fine. But I was like, I would love to have more information about like how much of my weight is muscle now, because I'm like decently muscular. And I think people don't really factor that in when they're just looking at the weight number, because it's like, obviously people who are fat still have muscles, and they might be decently muscular even though they are fat. And yeah, so I was like, I'd want something more comprehensive, something that's more useful to me going forward, since now I'm trying to shift, now that I've gotten the breast reduction and I lost this weight, I want to shift over to doing more like strength training. I've already started working on like my flexibility, mobility stuff, and just like overall like holistic physical health. Like I recently read a couple books, like sections of a couple books about healthy gut biome, the microbiota in your gut, and like how that affects your like mental health and other disorders you might have. Some disorders that I have, like IBS, or like how it can affect like autism and stuff. And so I'm like, right now I'm like shifting my diet to try to have a better gut microbiome so that I'm not as affected by those things anymore. So hopefully, fingers crossed. I'll talk about that in a different video. Point is, I'm trying to do like holistic physical health, and I was like, I really would like a measurement of that. That would be like more useful than simply a ratio of height to weight. And so I got this DEXA body scan. I kind of Googled around and said like, hey, which scans are good? Because there's a lot of different ways they can do like your body comp. There's like ones where they like send electrical shock through your body and it's supposed to tell them where everything is. There's like, you can get scales that like approximate it, but they don't know. They're just like guessing based on, very limited data. And so I Googled around and they said DEXA body scan, pretty good, like the fitness people online on Reddit and other places. And so I was like, okay, cool. And there's one in Seattle. So I took the bus into Seattle. And then truly, this is not really relevant, but I just need to tell you, one of those buses I was on, usually the buses here are really nice, they're really clean, they're really efficient. One of those inner city Seattle buses I was on, the worst smell I've ever smelled in my life. People were covering their noses like the whole time. And yeah, I'm pretty sure it was just like piss. I don't know, but it was horrible. But anyway, got to the place, got buzzed in, couldn't understand how the door worked. He had to come out and get me, but that's fine. He was nice about it. And I was there early, so luckily I got it done quick. I was like basically out by the time my appointment was supposed to start. But it was just like me and one guy. He took me in there. He showed me the different machines. He showed me which ones we were using. He like talked me through what like the DEXA body scan is, which is just low level x-ray. He showed me like how to sit on the machine properly. And like we were given instructions, you know, like beforehand in an email about like what you know, when you should eat, how high, yeah, that you should be hydrated, you shouldn't wear things with like a bunch of metal on them, that kind of stuff. And so did that. Sat on or laid on the machine. You have to like hold your arms really close to your body, and it was like very uncomfortable to do. So luckily he told me when it was like past my head, because it takes like 6 minutes to your whole body because it's really slow. But it came like here to my head. He told me when it was past my head so that we could talk again and be normal. He told me once it was past my arm so that I could move my arms around and not have them like suction to my body. So I was ready to hold that for 6 minutes, but I was already uncomfortable by the time it got there. So I was like, wonderful, thank you. And then told me when it was all done so that I could move and get up. And yeah, it didn't take very long. It was pretty chill, not very loud or anything. And we just like chit-chatted about whatever. He asked me like what my body goals kind of were and stuff. And the idea of the scan is that you're supposed to like kind of get them regularly so that you can compare and see like how you're doing. Which I did purchase like 2 more for this next like calendar year. So I'm going to do one, I think at like 6 months and then 12 months to see how we're doing. Hopefully improvements. But I took a little video to show you kind of like what is on my scans. So I'll show you that in a minute with some like voiceover so I can discuss kind of like what, you know, information you're given. I think it's really cool. It is $100, at least for the one that I got, it was $100. And then the 2 that I got for this next year were $90 because I bought them as a pack. And so they sell them as cheaper if they're a pack. And I think those also include the Fit 3D scan, which is cool because my posture is really bad from my boobs just like pulling my whole shoulders and everything forward for, you know, like, when did I get boobs? Probably in like 5th grade. So like for, you know, 22 years. And so I am, one of my goals for this year is going to be to like fix my posture and work on that. And so love the posture thing, very useful. Happy to have that, especially because I'm gonna do some work on my own. I'm also considering like, I found this woman on Instagram who does like one-on-one like posture stuff, which is cool. So I might do that depending on like, if I feel like I could really use personalized information, and it would be cool to see if she could use that information also to help me. But, you know, at least I have the information, which is good. And yeah, so this year it's nice for that. We can work on the posture. And I think those are also included in the pack that I bought, which is cool. Anyway, so I'm going to show you my scans now. I can tell you like the information it's given and kind of show you just like what you get for the price. I think it's pretty good, pretty useful, especially if you're like pretty invested in your physical health, but it's like hard to tell, you know, like there's some parts, as a spoiler, it tells you like for the halves of your body, you know, different planes, like what's like where there's more fat, where there's more muscle on your like left leg or your right leg or your, you know, left arm or your right arm. And that's really interesting to me because they're, you know, aiming for symmetry, obviously. And like for most of my stuff, pretty symmetrical, but then like specifically my legs, like my left leg has like more fat and muscle on it. My right leg is weaker and skinnier, which makes sense to me to some extent because I have more strain. Like my bad knee is my right knee, my bad ankle is my right ankle, and I think my right hip is worse than my left. And so I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But then it's nice because it's like, oh, this one is like significantly less strong than this one, so that when I'm, you know, getting into my strength training journey, that I can like focus on that and like pay attention to that. Like, oh, I need to build up muscle specifically on my right leg so that things are easier for me. And then when I go back in, you know, we can see how we're doing and hopefully good. It also gives you like recommendations, which I think are nice. But you can set your own recommendations in their app. They also have it on like a phone app. The phone app is rated incredibly badly on the App Store. And it doesn't seem great, to be honest, but like it seems fine. I haven't had like a huge issue with it. So I don't know. Maybe they've improved it since all of the bad reviews. Don't know. But they also email it to you as a PDF, so it's pretty easy to read. Anyway, so they do a little scan, and then the Fit 3D scan, you like go behind some curtains because you're in your underwear, so you're in private, and you get to do it by yourself. You know, it's pretty easy to use the machine or whatever. He shows you how to do it. And then you hold up like handles, but your arms are straight. But you hold the handles up, you pull them up, and hold them out next to your body. You know, I'm doing this so you can see, but they're next to you. And then it does like a more than a 3D scan to make sure it's got all of you. And then you just have to hold still, and it tells you a bunch of stuff about your posture, which I'll show you in a second, which is really cool, really useful information for me, especially since, like I said, I want to do posture stuff. But so I did that scan and then came out, and then he like talked me through the DEXA scan and like what the different information meant and like what markers they're looking at, and then like what, you know, the goals are generally for people for health. And then it, you know, showed me like that you can adjust the goals and stuff for the app. I don't remember his name. I should look it up maybe. But he was super nice, super like patient and chill, and like he was funny. Yeah, so good times. Hopefully I didn't reek like piss from the bus. But you know, only so much you can do. Luckily none of the bus on the back smelled like pee, so on the way back, so that's cool. I would have recorded or asked him to record like my scan, at least like the first one where I was not in my underwear. But my phone was at like 20-something% battery when I got there because I forgot to charge it, and I forgot to bring a charger. And it died on the way home. So good news that I didn't have him do that, because it's, you know, I had to watch my bus routes to make sure I was getting off in the right places and doing the right things. But anyway, let me show you the scans now. I'll do a little voiceover here, and then when we come back, we can like do a conclusion. Like what do we think about it?
Okay, so here is my DEXA body scan and my fitness wellness report. This is for my Fit 3D. So there at the top is my body in the 3D element. And then here it gives me a body shape rating out of 126, not very good. But we got waist circumference. It gives you like some ratios about your body, different ways to measure it. Which is interesting. I'm more interested in the other stuff as we go down lower here. It'll show up that, you know, and you can see a little graph on the side there of like averages, which is cool. This I'm more interested in the posture, because it gives you not only like kind of how you're standing and how you should be standing, but also the tilt. And look at that right tilt, baby, that I have. I thought I was standing up real good, real straight. No. And it shows you kind of where you're at on the graph there for an average, which is really nice. But yeah, that's really useful to me personally. I was like, that's really interesting. It's got scan info on the side there I'm showing you. And then as we scroll down, it shows you your balance for like how you stand. It should be 25% in every category, because then that's, you know, a full 100. And mine is not. It's quite bad. It's quite on the heels. This gives you your full body measurements. Here, you know, from a more kind of like camera oriented way instead of measuring your physical body, which is interesting. But yeah, that's kind of the extent of it. And then here I have my DEXA Fit results. Scrolling down here, I got a C, which, you know, honestly thought was pretty good for me because I am not the healthiest person, but it shows you your total mass, your body fat, your lean mass, and then your visceral fat, all of which, you know, pretty useful information to have. It's nice that it kind of shows you different goals that it thinks you should do. It shows you what range it thinks you're in. Like my lean mass is good. So I was like, okay, cool. Like muscle's not bad. Visceral fat, it thinks that it's pretty high. Although I was looking up different things about visceral fat, and it was like, oh, actually it's not super high unless it's like 10% of your body mass or something. And for me, that would be like 4.5 pounds almost. And so I was like, okay, it's not that bad. Anyway, here's body fat, lean mass, and then it shows you for each section of your body, which I think is really useful, like the fat in your arms versus the muscle in your arms, and then for each side of your body. As you can see here, my legs are kind of out of balance. My trunk is a little out of balance. My arms are pretty much even, which is nice. And then it kind of shows you like, hey, this is the amount of your fat there. This is the amount of your muscle in that area. And then, you know, gives you markers for kind of like the optimal range for your height, for your weight, for whatever. This is really useful to me specifically. I like that it's per side of your body is really useful. And then also being like, hey, your arms have a decent amount of fat, but they also have a decent amount of muscle. If we can improve muscle in that area, but also lose weight in that area, like that would be good. As far as I understand, it counts everything that's not fat as lean muscle mass, or like tissue in general. Because because I do have some excess skin on my upper arms, and I do wonder if that was added into the fat section. I'm not really sure. I would have to ask. But as far as I understand, it's supposed to be reading more as like lean mass or tissue. But, you know, I'm not an expert on that, so don't quote me on it. But anyway, I like that it shows you, like I said, the balance there. He was telling me about like that you want to be symmetrical and showing me like, hey, these are kind of out of balance versus like your arms are really well balanced. Your trunk is generally well balanced. So useful to know. I wish I got one of these before I got my breast reduction, because I'd be so curious about how that changes things. Anyway, as we're scrolling down here, we see my lean mass index pretty good. And then my other one, whatever that is, FFMI, pretty good. Happy about that. And I like to have like these different markers, because obviously it depends on the person, like what your goals are and what you're trying to do. But having like a bunch of different sets of data like this, so I can focus on like what's useful to me, what's not useful to me, is really nice. It explains them down there so you understand what it is. And I like it, you know, kind of shows you where you're at and then gives you a target where you could get to that would be better. But here we go, like my visceral fat, there's like, ooh, not good. They want me to lower that. Fair enough. And that's like the fat in your gut, like around your organs, which fair enough, that's not great to have that there for multiple health reasons. And it explains why here, as well as the AG ratio, which is basically like you're more apple shaped than pear shaped, and they want you to be more pear shaped because they want, you know, less of the fat around the gut. Fair enough. And I would also like to be more pear shaped. That's one of my goals. Here's my bones, incredible bones, perfect bones, almost 6 pounds of bones. But, yeah, this is nice. It shows you like my T-score and my target, the same, queen of bones. And then it explains to you like where the density of your bones are, which is cool. And then here it gives you like kind of a summary, which is just like, hey, here's your body score. Here's your, you know, like your info listed out here specifically. And then this will show you also like your other scans.
And we're back. Okay. Hi. So yeah, that was my scan, or scans, I suppose. And, there I got, you know, a bunch of interesting information, like I was really interested in like the feet standing one, which I know that the WeFit, I don't know. The Wii did that with like Wii Fit stuff, where you like had a little thing you stood on and it would tell you. So I guess I could have got it from the Wii maybe. But that was really interesting to me. That I was kind of right tilty was interesting to me. And then the muscle composition was the most interesting thing to me for the DEXA scan, but also like, you know, knowing stuff like, oh, your visceral fat percentage is like interesting, knowing stuff about like your health markers in that way, or you know, like where you're holding more fat or muscle, and then comparing that to other people. Obviously it depends, like I said before, that it's like some of the things are comparing you to like an average, and some of the things are comparing you to like the average person who gets the scan, which obviously this scan is kind of aimed at fitness people. Although I was in the like chat of somebody that I follow, like you know, like a streamer, and they are into like health stuff, and so I sent them a you know, as like super chat being like, hey, I got this DEXA body scan. Have you heard of this? It's like kind of cool. And he had not heard of it, but a bunch of people in the comments were like, oh, I get DEXA body scans every 2 years because I had breast cancer. And so I guess that's like a recommended thing to make sure your like bone loss isn't really bad, because the scan was originally for bone stuff, like just to check out how good are your bones, which I talked to the guy about when we were discussing it. He was like, excellent bones, really good bones. I don't think he said that, but that's what the scan said. And I was like, honestly, sounds weird for me to say this maybe, but I'm always worried whenever people are like, yeah, well, you gotta worry about bone loss. And I'm like, I know they mean that for like older people usually, but I'm also like, how would I know? Like that's something like they don't regularly schedule you for, or they're not like worried about until it's like a problem, which is, you know, one of my criticisms with the healthcare system in general is like they're only worried about things once they are actually actively a problem instead of trying to prevent things. But you know, that's why you got to pay your own $100 for your scan to make sure your bones are okay. And my bones were excellent, incredible bones. So yeah, anyway, liked the scan, it was a good time, and I'm excited to use that information now to work on my various health issues, and then hopefully to see improvement in my next one. I need to schedule it online. I think I'm just gonna schedule for 6 months out from now, so like what, November, December, January, February, March, April, and then the next one for next October, so we can just see where we're at and how we're doing. I'm excited. I'm hoping that, you know, I'm able to be committed enough to it that I will be able to see a significant difference. Even in April would be cool, you know, just to see like what's going on. But we'll see, you know, like I am a very like how do I word this? I really like, and I think I'm really good at doing consistent long-term goals. I do think I'm really good at that. It's mostly if I can wrangle my ADHD enough to do it. And that sometimes I want to start doing a goal like this and it just takes a while for me to get my mind on board that like that's something we want to focus on and do. So hopefully we can do that. I think so. I'm going to talk more about my other goals in a different video, but I just wanted to show you, you know, my results from the scan, and I recommend it. I think it's cool, you know, like obviously only if you have the money to do it, and you don't have to get multiple, you know, like you could just do the one if you wanted to, just to be like, what's going on in there? But I think maybe, yeah, like a yearly scan is kind of cool just to be like, how are we doing? You know, what's happening? And yeah. So probably will keep that up generally. And if I do, I'll let you know. I'll definitely show you my 2 that I'm gonna have this year. And yeah, that's about it, I think. So thanks for watching this video. Thank you for joining me on my, you know, continued health journey. That's going to be a continual part of my channel, I'm sure, because it's an important thing in my life right now that I'm like trying to holistically get my physical health into a good place. And I feel like I'm doing a really good job so far, and I'm really excited to continue on that path and get closer to just feeling like super good in my body, baby. I already feel much better than I used to for various reasons. And yeah, so yay. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you on the next one.